Never Stop Learning, week 121. We got a Creative Cloud update for Adobe Photoshop CC, and it's called Live Shapes. I'll show you how they work. So right here I got this document, and in my layer panel, I have my 3 buttons selected. Here's button 1, 2, and 3. They're basically made up of vector shapes, which I made them using this rectangle tool here. I want to come over here and grab my path selection tool. I just click on it once here, or I can hit the letter A to activate it. Alright, I'll come over here and I'll select this top button by just clicking on it once. You can tell it's selected because you got these anchor points lit up here. Let me zoom in a bit and position this guy over here, that way we can better see what's going on. Next, what I want to do is grab my properties panel. I have it docked here, but if you can't find it there, just come to the top, click on window, and then scroll down till you find properties. Click on that once, and then this guy pops out. I actually want to extend this panel so you can see the rest of my features here. I want to focus on this section because we're going to be dealing with the live corners. Alright, so there's 3 different ways you could make these live corners work. 2 of them are numerically, so I'm going to show you those first. The first one is this string of characters here. You see it says 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 0 pixels. That corresponds with each corner on this shape. But the way it works is it actually goes around clockwise, so keep that in mind. Because actually the first time I worked with this, let's say I wanted to make a change to this corner here in the bottom left. I thought I had to come over here to this panel and then make a change to this character here. So let's update it to read 20 pixels. And when I hit enter, I was actually surprised that it was the bottom right corner. So basically I just figured out it deals with it in a clockwise formation. Alright, let me Command Z to bring this back to normal. And the next one is I can make changes in these fields here. Each one of these corners corresponds with this shape here. So by default, they're actually linked together. I'm going to take this link off so I can make a change one at a time. So if I wanted to make a change to this upper left corner here, I'll just come over here and change this to 20 pixels, hit enter, and you see I've already rounded this one off, Command Z. If I wanted to come over here and do this bottom right corner, 20 pixels, enter, and then it updates there. Command Z. If I link these together, come over here and change this to 20 pixels, and you see it rounded off all of the corners. It kind of gave it this pill shape, which is pretty cool, but that's not what I'm looking for. Let me Command Z to bring it back to normal. Alright, so the last way you could change it is when you hover over one of these icons, you get these little scrubby sliders. So if I click and drag, you see I'm able to turn these all into round corners automatically. And actually this little string of characters updates here too, so keep that in mind. Command Z to bring it back to normal. Let me uncheck this, that way they're not linked anymore. The reason I like using these scrubby sliders is I could actually pull these guys out, and on my document it's updating as I slide. So this lets me know that about 50 pixels looks pretty good. I'll come over here and make the change to this one, and I'll bring this over, and then once I get to about 50, I actually wanted to show you something. Once I go beyond that, look at the upper right corner. It's actually starting to straighten out, and it's not as round as it was anymore. So I just wanted to show you that so you kind of keep that in mind. Once you go beyond the radius, it's going to affect the other corner. So I'll Command Z to bring that back, and Command Alt Z to just bring it back to normal. Alright, so the way I want this to look is, let me select these guys here in the layers panel. I'll select my top button, and what I want is the top corners to be rounded off. Put them at the radius for 50 pixels up here as well. And I'll select this bottom button here, and I'll make the changes here to 50 pixels, and this one I'll update it for 50 pixels as well. I'll deselect and zoom back out, and this was the desired effect I wanted for this piece. So I got these top corners rounded off and these bottom corners rounded off, but the one in the middle has sharp corners. There's actually one other thing I wanted to bring up. Let me zoom back in here a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to focus on this center button. I'll hit the letter A to grab my path selection tool, and then click on it once to select it. I'll bring up my properties panel, and see right now it's actually set to masks. All you have to do is come over here to live shapes, you click on that, and you see this whole thing changes up a bit. Alright, so I'm going to round off the top left corner, and you see when I rounded it off, Photoshop automatically produces these 2 anchor points here, which is great. Let's say I want to make some changes to those. I'll grab my direct selection tool, I'll select this anchor point, and now I have this little Bezier handle here. I'll click and drag to make a change here, but watch what happens when I release. I get this warning here. This operation will turn live shapes into a regular path, and it's asking me if I want to continue. It's also giving me the option whether or not to show this warning again. Since this is a new feature, I'm actually going to leave this alone because I want it to come up again. I'll hit yes, and once I hit yes, you see this is updated, and I'm still able to make changes to it. The only difference is I no longer have the live shapes properties here. Alright, let me Command Z to bring this guy back to normal. And I'll zoom all the way out. And there you have it. That was just a quick look at live shapes, which is a new feature for Adobe Photoshop in the Creative Cloud. For more information, just click on the link below in the description.